Okay, sorry, my last recording got cut off, but I'm just going to continue on through this one. So, desert animals have amazing ways of living where others can't. They escape the heat by hiding from the sun. Their special bodies help keep them alive too. Okay, so we learned about different ways that animals can survive in the desert and really ways that they can stay cool. That means not get too hot. So, remember our strategy frame. The text says, I already know, so I can infer. Let's take a look at our questions. How do ground squirrels use their tails for shade? The text says, I already know that, so I can infer that ground squirrels use their tails for shade by, well, when we look here, we were talking about the things that they needed. It went away, but those were water, food, and shelter. So before I jump to that question, I want us to find in the text evidence that shows that it would be hard to get these things in the desert. So let's start to find why would it be hard for animals to live there? We know that animals need water, food, and shelter. So the desert is no easy place to live. Very little rain falls. Few plants grow. During the day, the desert becomes very hot. Yet hundreds of animals live there. How do they stay alive? So just these two sentences right here, then it says very little rain falls and few plants grow. That shows me that it is hard for them to get water because there's not a lot of rain. And it also proves to me that it's hard for the animals to get food because few plants grow. So that's just a quick example of how you can look for text evidence. But let's look at our question. So we need to figure out how do ground squirrels use their tails for shade. So I do remember reading about squirrels in this. So I'm going to go scan my text and go back down to where I heard about the squirrels. There's the Gila monsters, iguanas. Okay, so I'm looking for where we have the information about the squirrels and their tails. So it's in paragraph 3 here where we see other desert animals have special bodies that keep them cool. Let's see, there's the jackrabbit and its ears, and then here it talks about ground squirrels have bushy tails. They use their tails for shade. So with that piece of evidence, I am going to use my strategy frame to make my answer on the next page. Now, the text says that squirrels, bear with me guys, I'm writing on a mouse, use their tails for shade. All right, let me do this. I'm going to go ahead and type right in here. It's a little easier. Okay, the text says that squirrels use their tails for shade. Let's make sure we got our text evidence correct. Ground squirrels have bushy tails, so let's go back and include that in our answer. Yes, they use it for shade. So I'm going to say squirrels use their bushy tails for shade. I already know So if you've seen a squirrel, which I'm sure we all have, living in Florida, there's squirrels all over the place. So I already know that squirrels, when I think of a squirrel and their tail, that squirrels have large tails that are taller than their bodies. So I can infer that ground squirrels use their tails for shade by putting their large bushy tail maybe above their head or body, which blocks the sun, providing shade. We can even add shade in our background knowledge up here. We already know that squirrels use it, tails are taller than their bodies and that we use shade. Oops. And we need something kind of above us for shade from the sun. Now, we have to think about, why do lizards run quickly in the desert? Our text will talk about them running quickly, and we need to figure out why would they need to run quickly. So I'm going to start with a sentence frame. All right, I know it's not perfectly on the line, but that's okay. The text says, I'm going to go to my text and look for where it talks about lizards. Lizards use their long legs to run quickly over hot sand. The text says lizards use their long legs to run quickly over hot sand. I already know that this is when you need to think about, what do you already know about lizards and hot sand? Think about your background knowledge. Have you ever been to the beach and when that white sand is super, super hot, what do? You probably run fast. So I already know that hot sand hurts to step on. So I can infer that ground squirrels, ground squirrels, what am I talking about? I can infer that lizards run quickly in the desert because the hot sand hurts their feet. And that's it. It's as easy as that. You get your information from the text, you use your background knowledge, and you can always use this sentence frame to keep it together. So with that being said, you can go ahead and try to do your standard mastery. We will review together, and I included a review video in our general chat. Bye, guys.